Hi, I'm Charles with AniCap. Previously, Mofan was somehow able to awaken two rare talents, but kept it a secret. When faced with impossible odds in a duel, Mofan finally reveals his two talents to everyone. While the city is in turmoil, military officer Kong fights the commander-level monster, and Mofan manages to close one of the troublesome tunnel entrances. The story continues as we see that the remaining survivors of the attack on Bo City have made the difficult decision to abandon it. It is completely overrun by powerful monsters and under the total control of the Black Curia, so Mofan and his family have decided to move to Mingzu City. On the way there, Zenzaya must explain that the train is protected by a barrier to protect from attacks, and Mofan reminds her that he came from a world of science. In his world, magic was nothing but a superstition. A man overhears them and is disgusted to hear how little he knows about history. The man reveals that he is the history professor at Mingzu Academy, and Sing is shocked since that is the dream university for all mages. Mofan would like some information on how to get into the school, but the man says that someone must be truly exceptional to stand out from thousands of other applicants. Later, they arrive at their home that has been provided to refugees from Bo City. Zenzaya reveals that she plans to homeschool herself and take the mage aptitude test next year. Mofan's plan is to get a job so that he can give her and their father the comfortable life they deserve. She points out how prestigious families can rely on their generational wealth to prosper, but he must work hard on his own. Zenzaya says she believes in him though, and that she is confident he will become the best mage. Later, Mofan thinks to himself how achieving mid-tier magic is 10 times harder than the beginner level, but is glad that his pendant was able to become an advanced training item after drinking the sacred spring. He reveals that he has purchased some very expensive spell scrolls and must work hard to control his 49 stars. Just then, he receives a call from Miss Tang, who is in a nearby city, and requests that he come visit her since she would like his help with something. When they meet, he thanks her for the book she gave him since it was so vital in helping him rescue his family. Mofan is a bit curious about where she had been during the conflict, and she asks if he knows about the Justice Department of the Council of Mages. He has heard that it is an organization that arrests mages that break the law, and she reveals she is part of it. The department had known of the Black Curia's plan to attack, but underestimated them. Miss Tang was the only one assigned to catch a man named Salong of the Black Curia, but she had failed. She then explains that she is there to investigate why the town's water supply has gone dry, and she needs Mofan to follow a wanted criminal that may be involved. His name is Chao the Butcher, and he has killed many mages. She gives him some more books in case of emergency, but warns not to depend on them too much since it will make using intermediate magic on his own more difficult. He plans to help, but requests that she allow him to use the Awakening Stone if he does, and she agrees. Mofan follows Chao and sees that he is asking locals what they know about the drought. Mofan doesn't think he looks that dangerous and is startled by Miss Tang as she uses the shadow talent. They overhear a group discuss how the drought must be caused by a fire spirit and how it will make them rich. Miss Tang explains that element spirits can be born from nature, and when consumed by mages with the same element will increase their power immensely. Mofan remembers that Ningsu was born with an element spirit, which is very rare, but Miss Tang says that being born with two talents like Mofan is even more coveted. The only problem for him is that means leveling up is more difficult and will require a large amount of resources. She recommends that he find a sponsor to pay for the expenses, and he wonders why she doesn't just let him be her boyfriend since that would make him unstoppable. They must then hide as they see two groups fight over the right to search for the spirit. They are all very powerful, so they decide to try and avoid getting involved. Mofan is amazed to see mid-tier magic he has never seen before and can barely manage to stay upright as the battle intensifies. The winners reveal themselves to be part of the Dongfang family and show mercy by allowing the losers to leave instead of turning them to ashes. Their leader tells his group to continue the search but are interrupted by Chao the Butcher. He interjects, explaining that the treasure is his, but if he is in a good mood, he will grant them a swift death. The group wonder who he is, and Chao reveals a distinct mark that makes them realize he is the Butcher. He is familiar with the Dongfang family as well, as he explains that he has had the pleasure of tasting one of them before. Mofan can't believe how much of a monster he is, and Chao reveals his vile hex talent. Miss Tang explains that Chao is strong enough to take them out in one strike, and that his level 3 Berserker Tarantula is able to invade a person's mind. Furthermore, only the light or mind talent will be effective against it, and there is no way for Mofan to help. Their leader explains that the Dongfang family will come after him, but Chao says that he doesn't even fear the Justice Department, let alone his family. Chao would then express excitement to level up after finding the spirit, but must pause for a moment when the earth cracks, and Miss Tang explains that the dramatic change in the environment usually means the fire spirit is exposed. Chao becomes hysterical and Mofan wonders if he is just crazy, but Miss Tang says that anyone would react like that since this element spirit is no ordinary one. Fire spirits are typically red, but this one has purple as well, which makes it more pure and far more valuable. She tells Mofan to stay back while she goes in and reveals that she had only asked him to come because the department is short-handed. Under normal circumstances, she would never want him to be around a psychopath like Chao. She places a shadow spike in the ground and informs Chao that he is under arrest for murder, and he explains that they will have to add another charge for murdering an agent of the Justice Department. She doesn't take his threat lightly and prepares another attack. However, he covers them in a shadow and reveals that he had been watching her earlier after putting something in her food. He says that what he gave her is far more interesting than poison though, and explains that not only is he a skilled mage, he also excels at pharmacology. Mofan wonders if he should intervene, and we see that Chao's taunts backfire as they only manage to infuriate Miss Tang. She turns the earth to fire, and Mofan wonders if she had killed him, but Chao emerges to reveal that he had on demon armor. Chao intends to stop messing with her and end her life, just as Mofan finally intervenes. His attack hardly does anything though, and Chao explains that he can sense his low level. Mofan laughs and explains that he can kill Chao easily if he wanted, but offers to make a deal. Mofan will not fight him over the spirit if he lets him take Miss Tang and the magic items left behind by the Dongfang family. Chao thinks about how he is unsure of how many more of Mofan's attacks he can block, and agrees as long as Mofan waits until he is done extracting the fire spirit. Mofan is a bit skeptical of a murderer though, and Chao explains that he is a man of his word. After getting the okay from Miss Tang, the two agree on the terms. However, Mofan then reveals that he doesn't just rely on fire magic, and thanks Chao for letting him stall for so long, since summoning his thunder talent takes quite a while. Chao realizes that Mofan has two talents, but it's too late as he is instantly struck down. Mofan goes to check on Miss Tang, but she tells him to stay away. She can't believe he can't tell what's going on with her, and just tells him to extract the fire spirit for himself, as it will soon disappear. He can't believe she is just going to let him have it, and asks one last time if he can help her up. Mofan begins to extract the spirit and thinks about how lucky he is to get something several powerful people were fighting over. Miss Tang thinks about how she shouldn't be allowing Mofan to have the spirit, but she can't do it herself in her condition, and how things would have ended differently if he hadn't come. As they leave, Miss Tang explains that she must turn in the magical gear to her superiors, and Mofan wonders what is so special about Chao's ring, but she avoids the question. Later, she explains that the fire spirit will reduce the amount of damage he takes from fire magic significantly. That is, unless the person is a much higher level than he is. She goes on to reveal that they suspect a pharmacist had provided the Black Curia with the violent spring that had started the invasion of Bo City, and Chao may have had some information. Unfortunately, nothing was learned from him, but she hopes that his ring might provide a lead. Miss Tang finally loses control, and their driver reminds them that they are in a taxi, but Mofan demands he not peek again. Mofan becomes confused as she continues to struggle with her urges, and their driver feels bad for the kid. Later, Mofan receives a message explaining that he better not say a word. Miss Tang says that agents of the Justice Department get 2 passes for manslaughter, and that she will use one on him if she has to. Mofan tells her not to worry about their secret, but wouldn't mind going for coffee next time he visits. He thinks about how he shouldn't overuse the book since it will hinder his development, and thinks of ways to practice while attending university at the same time. Another message from Miss Tang reveals that she will keep her promise about the Awakening Stone and has already set an appointment for him. The next day, Mofan arrives for his awakening and is met by a man named Mr. Go. He assumes that the young Mofan is a privileged brat that would like to use the Lightning Awakening Stone, but says that the talent he will actually end up with depends on a lot of factors. However, Mofan reveals that he would actually like the Shadow talent, which surprises Mr. Go. The process is quick, and Mofan reveals that he just thinks the Shadow talent is cool. It might even be able to catch attention at the university, making him more popular and helping him get the most beautiful lady as his girlfriend. In that moment though, he gets a familiar feeling. It's the feeling of receiving a second talent with one try, which would make it 4 in total. The instructors return to see that the talent he had awakened has no color, and Mr. Go recognizes it as the rare summoning talent. He is done there, but Mr. Go explains that the talent will only be useful if Mofan puts in a lot of work to develop it. Mofan arrives home to tell the good news to Zinzaya, but doesn't want to interrupt her practicing. He remembers how she had asked if she will ever be able to walk again, and he told her that even if she can't, he will give her a pair of wings. He had always thought magical gear like that would always be too costly, but now with 4 talents and some hard work, he might actually be able to get them. Later, his practice is progressing nicely, and he explains that there are still 6 months left until Mingzu Academy has its new admissions. Months pass by in the form of a sweet montage, and Mofan thanks his father for caring for the family while he spent all his time meditating. Sing is confident that universities will be begging for Mofan to choose them when he shows his dual talents, but Mofan reveals he will not be telling them about those. Mofan explains that with all the applicants, the Thunder talent is barely enough to impress anyone, and instead he intends to use the Summoning talent. At the university, we see that Mofan has opted for an interview instead of the typical talent exam. The Summoning talent is extremely rare, and Mofan received a high rank on how well he can control his 7 stars, but he has never actually summoned something before. They receive word that another student has been selected and there is only 1 spot left. They begin considering someone else, but Mofan objects to them passing on him and they give him another chance. They give him 1 week to learn how to summon something and explain that it will decide his fate. Later, Mofan worries that he might summon some kind of abomination when he decides to call Miss Tang, who he must beg to not hang up on him. When they meet, she explains that the Summoning talent is the most unstable to use and is shrouded in mystery, but if mastered, can truly have no equal. Summoning magic will allow his consciousness to roam through a different dimensional plane, and allow him to select from various different summonable beasts. Furthermore, the willpower of the person using the magic will have a huge effect on how powerful a beast is summoned. Elsewhere, we see that the other person being considered for the final spot, named Song, is upset to have to wait an entire week for Mofan to be tested. A week later, Song explains to his uncle that he has nothing to worry about since summoning magic takes a lot of money to upgrade, and Mofan is poor. An instructor asks if Mofan will be using any supporting items, but he explains that he will not, as those cost a fortune. The test begins and Mofan enters the dimensional plane that contains several monsters. He encounters a powerful beast that knocks him over, and Mofan realizes that he has found the one he wants. Thanks for watching part 9. 10,000 likes to let me know you want me to continue the series, and I'll make a part 10.